To eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning. Happy Friday. I'm Amelia Lee with you on this July 25th. We're at 6 o'clock on the dot this morning, and we are going to take a check of our weather with meteorologist Megan Dusmall. It's hot, Megan. We want it to be cooler, but unfortunately it's hot, and I think you've even mentioned rain in that forecast, correct?
Slight chances of rain, but yes, we're finally going to see a little tiny dip this weekend in those temperatures because of the rain, but it's only a small dip. There's the unfortunate news. We're going to see those temperatures still sitting in the 90s for the next couple of days. This morning, though, the 70s, so not a terrible start to your day, although it is already 75 degrees in Monticello, 74 in Prestonsburg. This afternoon, though, we'll be looking at the low 90s, even having a chance of hitting the mid 90s in Manchester. 94 is that high temperature for the day. Now, we're nice and clear on satellite and radar, but we do have a slight chance of some scattered showers and storms as you travel more towards the southwestern portion of our area, like Wayne County, McCreary County, Pulaski County, and the surrounding counties as we're going into the next couple hours. Here's a look at that planning forecast. You'll really start to see those slight chances appearing as we're heading into that 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock mark and continuing into the evening. Amelia.
Some sad news out of Norris Lake in Tennessee, where a man died after wakeboarding Wednesday night. Officials tell us 53-year-old Kevin Allen from Ohio was wakeboarding and fell into the water. They say after getting back into the boat, he suffered a medical emergency and lost consciousness. The TWRA says Allen died at the scene despite rescue efforts. This is now the 15th boating incident in Tennessee this year. In Pulaski County, a man charged with killing his father and grandfather appeared in court yesterday. Austin Prather was indicted on 2 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder, among others. That incident happening back in 2023. Prather evaded authorities by leaving the state before he was eventually caught and taken back to Pulaski County. A pretrial conference for Prather was set for September 11th. Around this time last year, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear was getting plenty of national attention. His name was on the short list of potential Democratic nominees for vice president after Kamala Harris became the party's presidential candidate. Fast forward to today, Beshear continues getting national exposure, but he's still not saying if he'll run for president in 2028. From being in Vogue magazine to traveling to national political events, some think the likelihood of some kind of run is looking more possible. WYMT's Phil Pendleton asked the governor about his plans during a media briefing in Frankfort.
These opportunities have come to us.
Kentucky's governor has received some national attention, and there's more questions being raised if he will run for president in 2028.
Right now, I'm simply trying to be a reasonable voice of common sense, common ground, and getting things done.
He's traveled to events in other states, including one focused on South Carolina's struggling Democratic Party, and he was featured in Vogue magazine.
The answer is what we've done together. It's breaking every economic development record that's out there. It's having the best 3-year average for wages. It's breaking our tourism record 3 straight years in a row.
Governor Beshear still has about 2.5 years left in his second term in office. He cannot run for a 3rd consecutive term. The state constitution does not allow that, but he says he's proud of what the state has accomplished during his 2 terms in office. He stated during the Team Kentucky briefing that Kentucky has ended the fiscal year with a $300 million surplus with more money for the rainy day fund.
The surplus was made up of $131 million of revenue more than budgeted, so we had a projected amount of revenue, and we beat that this year.
While he's yet to announce a bid for the White House, he simply said everything going on is good for the state.
Really, for the first time in my lifetime, people are looking up to us instead of looking down on us.
In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Beshear says next year he will head up the Democratic Governors Association. A decision may come after that. President Donald Trump has approved public assistance funding for several Kentucky counties affected by severe weather in April and May. London Mayor Randall Weddle says they have spent nearly $1.1 million in the recovery effort after the deadly May 16th tornado. Officials say funding is needed.
$1.1 million to this city. We're not a big city. That's a lot of money. So now we'll have the ability to file for it's basically like a grant. You show that you had the cost, and the feds, they check it, they double check it, and then after they say, yes, this is a legit cost for the recovery, and they'll reimburse us then.
Officials in London say the money will also allow the city to resume infrastructure projects that were put on hold. Lawmakers on the Disaster Prevention and Resiliency Task Force met yesterday morning in Frankfurt. They heard from members of the Western Kentucky University Disaster Science Operations Center. Students in the program have traveled all around the country to study weather events as they happened. It's one of the few college programs that combines emergency management education along with meteorology. Right now, they're working on a statewide disaster database.
The aim is to ultimately come through with an improved and a new understanding of what the weather hazards look like at the state level, where they're occurring. And like I said, we're seeing more tornadoes in the east. We're seeing more tornadoes just in the state overall. The flooding tends to be looking worse.
The database will let people know which types of severe weather tend to hit their area the most, so people can better prepare for natural disasters while improving response efforts. Kroger officials say they raised $100,000 to help families impacted by severe weather in Kentucky. This money comes from customers who donated to Kroger's Roundup campaign by rounding up their total purchases at the checkout. They were able to support the American Red Cross and their relief efforts. It'll help folks impacted by flooding in April and tornadoes that hit in May. The Department of Justice is gearing up for a second day of interviews with Jeffrey Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell. The meeting comes as congressional Democrats and some Republicans demand more information about the well-connected accused sex trafficker, and President Donald Trump tours the Federal Reserve amid controversy over the cost of renovations. CBS News' Jared Hill reports from New York.
New insight into the first meeting between Jeffrey Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell and the Deputy Attorney General. David Marcus is her lawyer.
Ms. Maxwell answered every single question. She never stopped. She never invoked a privilege. She never declined to answer.
Today, Deputy AG Todd Blanche is back with the convicted sex trafficker, posting the DOJ will share more of what they learn at the appropriate time. In an interview with CBS News, House Speaker Mike Johnson called for more accountability.
We want everybody who was involved in any way with the Epstein evils, let's call it what it was, to be brought to justice as quickly as possible. We want the full weight of the law on their heads.
Despite bipartisan interest, Thursday, President Donald Trump called concern over Epstein's connections yet another Democrat con job. The battle came as the president sparred with the head of the Federal Reserve in a rare presidential visit to their headquarters, butting heads with Fed Chair Jerome Powell over the cost of renovations.
It looks like it's about $3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Powell challenged the president's math.
You just added in a third building is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago.
But the real fight is over interest rates.
Well, I'd love him to lower interest rates.
The president says he doesn't plan to fire Powell, noting his 4-year term ends in May. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
Fed officials will meet next week to decide its next steps on interest rates. Powell and other officials have signaled they will likely keep their key rate unchanged at about 4.3%.
This morning we're seeing just a little bit of fog across those mountains, so drive a little bit careful if you are encountering any patches of low visibility. All in all, though, the main story for today will be those hot temperatures and the return of some rain chances. We're looking at some slight chances of rain as we're approaching the afternoon mark. Temperatures right now, we're looking at the 70s, and this afternoon we'll be looking at the low 90s. So be prepared for those hot temperatures as we hit the high roughly around that 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock time frame. And again, those chances for scattered showers as we're heading into the afternoon. Amelia.
Well, thanks so much for joining us on Mountain News this morning at 6:09.